It's the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes post-match phone-in on X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. In a dull and uneventful week at Watford Football Club, we got the game. We got the game we all probably deserved in a way. I'm going to say something revolutionary that nobody ever in football observation or commentary has ever picked out before. It's a funny old game, isn't it? I mean, a game of two halves. I'm trying to get all of the cliches out of the way before everybody joins us, because that first half, there was absolutely no indication that the performance in the second half was coming. I think that's fair to say. I thought we made Preston, frankly, in the first half look good, and in the second half we had moments where we absolutely pulled them apart. It's going to be this much fun. Oh, happy day. Some strange bits definitely occurred. I mean, if we look at the team that came out, I think a lot of people were looking at it and going, 4 centre backs didn't quite feel like it gelled in the first half. I was having a conversation, said we've got no out ball. The point that came back, which wasn't wrong, was we never get that from the centre forwards. But we didn't have it from the fullbacks either, really. Mafuni looked less than he'd been at centre-back, and Abankwah didn't quite have the game that he then went on and had in the second half. So, look, none of this is, this has been predicted, because I didn't know it was coming. Did you? I don't know. Crikey. Well, it was fun nonetheless. I thought that was fun, even though at 3:45, getting on to 4 o'clock for the second half kickoff, I wasn't expecting that to happen. But there we go. That's it was really poor in the first, but fair play. The second half, the aggression went up, the tempo went up, and suddenly the quality kind of started to match. As we've said before, if talent doesn't work hard, it'll get beaten by hard work. We don't say it quite like that. We actually say it the way the phrase is meant, but you know what I mean. Right, we'll get to everybody, see what your thoughts are on, obviously, Ed Still's first game. Now, I'd said previously he'd only got 2 wins in 27 of his last competitive matches. Hey, Rich, be with you in a second, sir. But that was wrong. That was erroneous, because it missed the last 4 games when he was at Charleroi. Now it's 2 wins in 32 games, because there were 4 for Charleroi. But if he's had games like that and not won, yeah, I'll take it as enjoyment in terms of the 45 minutes. Rich, what did you make of that? Because it was chalk and cheese, laughter and despair, and then sort of back again, because as Majic scored his customary goal against us when he comes back from a ban or just before. What were your thoughts on everything?
Hi, Peter. Good evening. Hello. So it's Valentine's Day. So I think in the first half, we were all queuing up for our table for a nice quiet booth to have a little chat and do little or nothing. And in the second half, it became the Valentine's Day massacre of a football match. And what fun that second half was. So I sort of just said, I'm in a different building today. I've had a few beers today. I've already had a few bottles of beer. I'm not a big drinker these days, so if I slur my words, you know why. Happy Valentine's Day, those that haven't been told it today, for all of you out there. What can I say about the game of football? Well, whoever picked the team in the first half wants sacking. Whoever made the changes at half time needs a 6-year contract. Just let our players play, please. Quadro bar, come on. Everybody, all this nonsense we've been hearing and been fed for weeks and weeks and weeks. I don't care if he's got the worst attitude in the world. You stick him on the bloody football pitch. There's no hiding place on a football pitch. The fans soon shut you out. And what he's done in 45 minutes, he's turned the game totally on its head.
Yep.
He's got 2, 3, 4 people marking him at the end of the day because they're terrified of him, which opened up space for everybody else. I'm pissed off because we've known about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's not like being clever or, thinking about things after they've happened. It's been there. He's been sitting on our bench doing nothing for months. It's disgraceful. Foremost Menday.
I was waiting for this.
Goodness me. Now again, let's not be stupid here.
No,
We said it a few weeks ago. He's a Senegalese international footballer, as was, and he's not got a sniff. And he comes on the football pitch and he completely controls the game again. What is going on at that football club? What is going on to allow that to happen? It's a joke. And thank goodness today, if Mr. Edward Steele was the one that made those changes and made it happen, full credit to him and his assistant.
Yep.
And it was interesting that Mama ran into his arms when he scored his goal.
He did.
What a transformation of a football team from the most anemic performance in the first half to actually, worldy football in the second half. Yeah, we got stupid and we got caught with a ball over the bloody top, and that thug goes on and scores a goal against us again. But so what? I'll take that second half every day of the week. I don't care that we didn't win. I mean, I do care, but you know what I mean. I'll take a draw because I enjoyed the second half. I was engaged. I was watching my football team attack. I was watching a home team's defence terrified of us every time we went forward. That is the way to play football. Not this anemic nonsense that we've been watching for the God knows how long.
Yep.
And, and you've got to give Ed Steele credit because he is the man with the job. It's his head on the line. And that is the standard in the second half. Now, I appreciate a few of them have got minutes under their belts, and so they probably couldn't all play 90 minutes. But that first half setup was absolute nonsense. 4 centre-backs. But his substitutions were perfect. People are thinking Matty Pollock's going off. So what? He put a Banquo across there and brought Mendy on. They did a decent job. Yes, we got caught once, but I'm not blaming the centre half for that.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been stopped in midfield. Which brings me to the only negative, well, not the only negative, but the biggest negative of all.
Go on.
And I don't like saying it, and I don't like pigeonholing players, but if ever a game showed that Kayembe cannot be a man moving forward for Watford Football Club, it was there for all to see today. He just cannot be in our midfield long term. Bring him on for 15 minutes if we have to rest people that have got the game won.
Mm-hmm.
But he was terrible, really. And I quite like Kayembe, and I've stuck up for him a few times, and I can see, he's got some experience about him. But today, again, he was found wanting. He can't control the ball. He needs 3, 4, 5 touches to get the ball under control. A couple of times he's on goal to shoot, and he's taken that extra touch, which loses him that momentum. Hopefully, Bove is going to be a player and can get some minutes under his belt. We are being optimistic in thinking that, but wonderful to see him come on. And that's all I'm really going to say. There were so many good performances, and obviously the one person that I haven't mentioned yet is the now turned 18-year-old Funi.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, 18 years old, outstanding, unbelievable at this level. This is Championship football on a bloody awful pitch in Preston. Not the greatest place for any youngster to play Championship football. And he was head and shoulders above most people on that football field. Full credit to Manchester City, whatever they do up there. The bloke he's played left back today, don't forget. This is not centre half. He's just slotted in there and you would never have seen it. We've not missed Bowler at all today, and that's not a dig at him, obviously.
No.
What a performance. What a performance. And wow. And the team that finished that game today, in the main, without Loser on it, obviously, you put him in there every day of the week. But, that is an exciting attacking team that pushes your opponent back. And, put that team that ended the game with Loser for Kayembe or whatever in, and just go for it and just bloody have a go and exciting. If we lose 5-4, I'll take it, and if we win 5-4, I'll take it. That is what I want to watch. I've enthused by the second half. It's as close as I've ever got for a long, long time because of the day it is, and I'm out with the missus and we're friends and I'm having a drink and they let me use their room to come and talk to you.
Oh.
I nearly switched off at half time. And I really did. It's as close as I've ever been. I just looked at that and thought, why am I wasting my time watching this absolute rubbish? And then, thank goodness, I came back into the room and I saw Quadro Bar on the edge of the pitch there with his number saying he's coming on. I thought, oh, hello, I might sit and watch this. Do you mind, Lise, my wife? And she said, no, go for it. And I uncorked another beer and I sat and watched it. And oh my goodness, I'm so glad I did. And that's really all I got to say. Fair play. Whoever did whatever they did, well done you. Get it right from the start of the game. Attack Derby next week. I don't care. We're probably not going to make the players. We've probably left it too late. Too many non-performances where we haven't got the result when we should have done.
Yeah.
But I'll take that second half every day of the week.
All I can say is we've all known that, kind of Rich has rung in first many weeks, had beer and watched the pronunciation just fly upwards. I mean, look at this. Who knew this was what we were missing all along? Brilliant stuff. Rich, sir, excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Wonderful. There's a good start. Let's get to Mr. Fincham. Let's get to Pete. Pete, game of two halves, funny old game, cliche alert, but what on earth do you make of that?
Well, I want to know what beer Rich is drinking for two reasons. A, wow. And then secondly, he has a cork in it. I mean, that is proper middle-class Waitrose shopping, that. And he's a warrior of the people, is our Rich. But, yeah, give me some of that beer. Do you know what? It's a very strange one. We had a little interchange at half time around how wretched it was.
It was awful.
And anemic and the striking. I mean, for like all year really since that Birmingham game, it reminds me of some of the sort of more awful moments of the 90s where, shoving Harry, Roger, Willis up. To when Charlery was around and we'd lost Furlong to Chelsea, and we were like, oh God, it was awful. And then we had another crack at it when we had likes of Collins John on loan when they stuck Shitu up front instead of him, even though he was on loan. Okay. And the Scott Fitzgerald experiment and all those sort of things that made us crap, but at least mildly likably crap. That first half was just up there. And frankly, most of this year has been up there. I'm really glad something happened in the second half because it stops you from believing that every game is just going to be that bad. And I was at Southampton last week and when going 1-0 down, we just didn't have the faintest idea what to do when we did. I mean, similar to almost Charlton, Millwall, all these games that we've gone 1-0 down and we haven't got a clue. So maybe there's something there. But unfortunately, and I hate to dampen the mood.
Go on,
bit, but we are in exactly the same Groundhog Day as we have been so many times.
Of course,
we have a new guy in. He's I love that from the Rookery End interview with him because he sounds educated and he sounds like you got to admire a man who can converse in French and English and it not be about food. And I liked what I heard, but we all know we're a handful of months away from him being sacked for whatever reason. Yeah. And as a result, it doesn't matter what's in our squad. It doesn't matter who we sign. We're going to have a manager who doesn't have the time to build a team, a squad through transfer windows. And as a result, you're playing in the Mendy's today. You're putting Bar on. All these some of these decisions were blindingly obvious to all of us who don't do the training, but it was obvious because they weren't things that we could tangibly see and touch. Mm-hmm. So they were the unknowns. So of course we give them up as examples. But until you're actually seeing a manager with the time to have a rotation of good and the bad and not just stick with something and has to persist with it, until you give a manager a transfer window or two in order to build a squad, until you remember that we're in the Championship and actually teams go out the Championship with a good, strong leader. There's no leader on that pitch. There's no leader in the squad. They're a collection of individuals who've been bought for their saleable value later on. You need a bit of dirty thuggery in there. We don't have a proper dirty thuggery in there. We have almost very polite thuggery on occasions. I'm looking at Pollock. He's not really filthy, is he? No. But yeah, you have to have a proper growler in the middle of that pitch. And we don't, because they don't have a lot of saleable value. And our marketing of our players and our transfer strategy is around buy inexperienced, pretty players who are going to be worth something. Well, that's great. But Gino, if you want promotion, you're going to have to do something differently, because the cowardice of being able to stick with management for a few transfer windows, the cowardice for not actually being able to buy players who don't have any marketable value but are good today. That is what's going to be the difference between us coming on here and saying, oh, great game and nothing to moan about, and actually a great game and I see something for the future, because we're only a few months away from being exactly where we were 2 weeks ago and 4 months ago and 6 months ago and 1 year ago. And it's tiring and it's boring, and this club will not change until that man goes.
Lovely stuff. I mean, now for anybody who got confused midway through that, the Scott Gerald experiment is not a jazz quartet. It was one of our lesser times, and we bought him for £1, and he tried to offer us good service, so we did. But yes, exactly. There have been times when we haven't been blessed with, yes, what we've got. But I make you right, and we've said more or less all season since we've had these, that especially in the forward line, for example, that a lot of these players will, could be really good in 18 months' time. But could we have somebody for today? Wouldn't that make a difference? Peter,
but still said it in the interview. He goes,
yeah.
"Oh, this is how it works," And he was almost saying that anything that's good this season will be sold in the summer. Well, okay, I understand that. So sign players who are going to do the job to get us out the Championship. And you look at they had that fire for Preston today. The son of Martin, the rugby league player. He built like an absolute unit. That player will never play in the Premier League, right? He's a Championship defender. He's probably will be able to run all day, and but he'll do a job.
Yep.
I don't see those kind of heart and soul, blood and guts players that coming into our squad. And it's not like I want a team of all English people at all. I don't, those days are long gone.
Yeah.
But what I do see, though, is that we sign players who think they're possibly too good for the level they're at. There's a lot of strutting, a lot of posturing, a bit chippy. Get players for the purpose of getting out of this division, not for your bank balance, Mr. Potso. I tried to do another song, right? So you might remember it started with Sean Dyche,
yes.
A while ago, where and I tried to redo the managers to the tune of Wonderwall, just because it was a tune that's easy to go. And anyway, I need at least 2 more verses of Wonderwall to be able to fit them all in. I'm now into it. If you're going to actually put some context around the managers and what they did and when they go, I need about 5.5 minutes song. So give it a couple of seasons and I'll do it to Stairway to Heaven. But nothing's going to change. And so great, we had 45 minutes good fun today, but unfortunately we are in the mire for the long run.
Give it a couple of seasons. You'll be doing it to the 1812 overture. It'll need to go on so long, because of course, just as popular songs and long format songs disappear out of just as we keep adding managers to the pile all the time. Pete, lovely to hear from you, sir. Hope everything is good with you and the family. Let's get Greg on, see what he thinks after that, because it's been an odd week. We've been sort of seeing various stuff come in. We've been looking at it inexplicably. I still maintain you've got to win games in this position and with this ownership, and of course we haven't today. But I'm feeling kind of optimistic about things now. I appreciate, Greg, that you're a one to enjoy a bit of optimism and try and think positively. Game of 2 halves, yin and yang. Go on then, mate. How did you end up with all of that?
Well, you're spot on, Peter. If you're ever going to see a game of 2 halves, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Peter. I'm bored with it all, but I've made a conscious decision. I only want to talk about football,
okay?
Because I'm bored of the rest. Absolutely bored of it, and I just want to talk football.
Let's go with that. Football. Discuss.
Yeah. When the first half, it was as bad as anything, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought the first half was as bad as anything this season. I thought Shaq was, just why was he out there? Because he offers us nothing. I thought KMB was terrible in the first half, kept giving the ball away. And then the second half, yeah, different team. Bar, we've been calling out for Bar for weeks, and we were on the front foot, and that's how I want to see a Watford team, on the front foot and with pace. I hope that means that Iracunda will get a start. All the pacey players play them, and let's go for it, because we had them rocking. Unfortunate, you've got to feel a little bit, you feel a little bit like we've dropped 2 points, but have we? That's a good away point. I thought we could have done better for their second goal, because we seemed to back up. We had chances to prevent that goal, but you've got to be positive. You've got to be positive on that second half performance. It was front foot, and that's what I want to see.
I think everybody wants to see more of that. Just before, well, I'll stay with me, but a safe pair of hands, 2776 is how do we phone up? Look, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to get involved, the audio comes in via our Twitter Spaces. So if you go to Twitter or X or whatever one you want to call it, and look for DNSYE_podcast, that's where we are. Join that particular piece on the audio, then you can come through the audio channel. Then everybody can listen to it on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever. That's how you do it. Yeah, I agree with you. It was a game whereby we saw such a change. For me, the main thing, and I appreciate lots of people are saying, for example, Watford FC 1881, hello there, sir, says Bar totally changed that second half. I don't disagree. However, I think the change in aggression in and around, well, basically all over the park, it was almost like, well, look, you're better players, but you've not been aggressive enough. Now, the irony is, I was looking at the stats at full and halftime, and at halftime we'd had 3 shots on target to their 1. They had scored their 1. At the end of the game, we'd had 20 total shots, only 5 on target, which meant that we'd only had 2 shots on target and scored them both. However, for me, in that second half, we had so many near misses. There was one from Dumbia. There was one from there was a great effort from Quadro Bar with his left foot, etc. What I was really happy was we'd had 20 total shots. Okay, 5 only on target, only 2 in that second half. But if you can work on that and improve that, and regardless of whether they are senior players or kind of future stars or what have you, if you can improve that, then the results will surely improve. If we could just improve 2 or 3% in that finishing bracket, could make a real difference.
Agree, Peter. And the ridiculous thing is, we're still in with a shot of it. I thought it was a tremendous effort from Formos Mendy. On another day that goes in, he hit the post, and I thought it was going to roll back and go in.
Yeah, he did as well. He was nearly running off. He thought that was in.
Yeah, I didn't think he was too bad when he came on. Actually,
I thought he was very good. He was hitting passes. There was one pass which he hit out a diagonal, and it kind of dragged young Mama back to come and pick up the ball. But that's really not much to criticize. The one thing that really I would actually was their breakaway goal, and I think that was palpable for 3 of them, because Foremost dived in and the original bloke went past him. Pollock did the same thing, and then finally Abankwah did the same, and they all went down, and they got through easy, and it was annoying, but we were so much on the front foot that we got sucker punched. But that notwithstanding, that second half performance is excellent. And the thing with, first of all, obviously it's a Desmond, which is always pleasing. But the part that kind of gets me a little bit here is that when you have score draws, the order in which the goals are scored will very much normally make a difference to how you're feeling about it. Normally, if you're 2-1 up and you've ended up drawing, people
Yeah.
won't feel very good about it at all. But I think instead of the goals, I think it did come into these halves and the performance, and that brief moment in that second half. Other than that, it was really a pretty dominant display until they rallied in and around the 85th minute for about 5 minutes, and then we got on top towards the end yet again.
Peter, I would have taken a point at 3 o'clock. So, going away to Preston North End, and I put in our Patreons chat, they look a dogged championship team, dogged team that could get into the playoffs. Now, I think when we are on our mettle, we're a little bit more than that. If we could do what we did in that second half consistently, we would easily be a playoff team. Easily. There was a lot in the second half to be optimistic about. I think Stefan Mafunu is as good as Elaine, at least as good as. He's so comfortable on the ball. Look, we've got away to a tough place to go to. We've got a point. Let's back it up next Saturday against Derby. That won't be easy. Let's go at them from the first minute. Let's go at them for 90 minutes because we can keep that up for 90 minutes because we've got a bench to do it.
Yeah,
We can refresh it
on the Telegram group of which you speak, of which Greg's a part. One of the observations was, and I'm going with what came out there, was that was a game, and in fairness to Ed here. Ed still, I mean, we've all been doing the barbershop joke all day, haven't we? Kind of all week. That's the first time since the first game of the season that we used all 5 subs.
Yeah.
And of course we kept it late because, of course, the idea, I imagine, was probably to bring on Eduardo Bove for 5-10 minutes, not too much, hopefully, if it's on it. And of course he came in, he was in with the muck and bullets and everything else going on. And so we used all 5, but we might have even used those earlier had there not been that involved, which again, as you say, rotate them, give them games.
Exactly, Peter. And use your squad, which, I'll make no bones about it. I like Javi Gracia. I liked him the first time round. I liked him at the start. On this second time, I think he lost his way. But you brought Ed Still up, and one thing I would say, I get all the negatives, but one thing I will say, he's articulate, and maybe it don't take rocket science actually to think, hey, we've got a lot of French speakers in our squad. Why don't we get a head coach that can speak both English and French? That is not rocket science, and we've done it. And, when you speak in the language and you speak in the dialect, it's not just speaking in French, it's being able to speak in that dialect and that tone and that pace that the French speak in. He can put his arm around Fomos Mendy. He can put his arm around Petrice, where hasn't been able, previous coaches haven't been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think putting your arm around a player, Harry Redknapp style, sometimes gets as much out of them as coaching them for hours on end, because we are all people. We are all people, and people relate to people. And I get the negatives, but maybe, he'll probably be sacked at the end of the season. But maybe it's a sensible appointment.
Look, there's always that risk. This is still Watford all the way. So you can't have it all, but there we go. But the one thing I will ask Greg is go and have some of whatever it was Rich was drinking. Stefan Mafulu, who's he? I think we mean Mafuni. Who am I to criticise? Who am I to criticise mispronunciation? Let's go to Will. Will, so hit your mic button at the bottom left.
Yeah.
Then we're going to come to Vinny. Then we're coming to Boyd. Then we're coming to Harry. Will, you're doing it. A 2-2 draw. Some people would look at that and kind of go, oh well, we need the win. But it's such a weird one. How do you break all of that down?
I'm happy. well, happy's a strong word, but I'm positive.
Yeah,
Positive
okay.
is where we'll sit. Yeah. I thought Loser was a lot better than recent weeks. Thought he looked a lot more alive in both halves, actually. He didn't really create too much, but I thought in the first half he looked like he wanted to be there, which is more than I can say for Chatbatazzi did, because he looked like he put on about 15 stone. Yeah, I just don't think. I just think Chatbatazzi having him there really unbalances kind of everything. So he doesn't stick wide.
Yeah.
And then having Mummer on the left means he also doesn't stick wide because he likes to cut onto his right foot, as you would.
Yep.
But it just really does kind of kill any width we had. And the moment we put a wide player on the pitch in Bar, we looked a lot better. And I think as much as Bar by himself is an improvement, structurally it helps so much as well.
It does, because as was said earlier on, and quite rightly, within 10 minutes, and okay, it was once we were already 2-1 up, because by that time they'd given him too much width, so to speak.
Exactly, yeah.
They were suddenly sticking 2 and 3 sort of over there, and suddenly we were switching the play the other side, and Marma is then coming alive. It just it just feels like it felt in the second half like all the things that lots of people say here, which is, go on, have a go. If we're going to lose, let's not whimper. Let's go and have it. And we've got these players, and it felt like, have a go. That was very pleasing, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I still can't stand Kerengard. Just is an absolute lump for me, and I don't think he adds anything. He can't close down. First touch was better today, but still not great. I think Dumby is a better option, but I 100% think Irankunda should be starting through the middle when he's available next week, just purely because of the fact that when I saw that Bar was coming over to help out Mama for space early on in the second half, and we were starting to create a lot more, I thought if we still had Bar over on that right as available for a switch or coming across the box, and Irankunda was making those runs to help out Mama, we would have a lot more space and as well as another outlet out on the other side. So I think that would be a lot more effective than having Kerengard up front, for example, who just kind of, well, you said the word whimper. I think whimpers is the right word for him as well as just us, how we played under Gracia.
The one thing I'll say about Kerengard is I thought his play with his back to goal in the second half improved. He played the little
better.
He played the little 1-2 with Loser that looked. I thought he kind of showed a little bit of physicality, and then Loser spread it to Marma, and then kind of the goal scored, which was great. But also, and I'm sure I was not alone here, takes no tactical insight to say this, the moment that Bar was started that run and got past the guy, I was just screaming, get past the first post, get across the front post, get across the front post, and he did, and it was
the same, yeah.
Because the amount of times that we see that equivalent moment and the ball get cut off, because all he needs to do is just get there, just get the faintest of touches, and he did.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think he did. It could have been an own goal. I'm sure.
But either way, the pressure he put on would have caused enough of a problem.
Absolutely, he caused the problem, and if we got somebody else coming in, him making that run across the front pulls the player out, creates the space for somebody else to come in at the back post potentially. Now, that's not what happened. That's not what we need to worry about. But if he does that, then from a coaching point of view, you then build up and you show that and go, well, look where he's dragged him. That's the space that you can then move into occupy once he starts moving.
100%.
Hopefully things start to come together.
It was
quite
better,
infused in that
but
respect.
It was better. I just don't think it was incredible is my problem. And I think if we went for more pace and then went less direct touch to hit someone who isn't a great target. Yes, he did well he did all right for both goals, but he's still not a target.
I agree, but we're not going to be able to change the personnel, especially obviously as the transfer window is closed. In terms of what I think was impressive was the fact that there was more aggression shown from literally everyone, and that paid dividends. It's just a shame that they cut through us on that, and we had 3 erroneous attempts at tackles on the spin, and then Majovic scores his goal, which is very annoying.
I thought foremost Mendy was unlucky for that, actually, because he had no idea that Pollock was behind him. I don't think he got a shout from him either, so he had to dive in thinking he was there, and Pollock appeared out of nowhere, because even on the replay I couldn't see him until Pollock makes the dive in. Like, he just appears. It doesn't get there, but it was a weird goal to concede, and I don't think we needed to throw as many bodies forward, but it is what it is. I'm not unhappy with us conceding because we were attacking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If we just conceded from being poor defensively, then that's one thing. But conceding because we get caught out from actually going on the front foot is something I can take positively, because we can work on that and have. Well, Kayembe doesn't Yeah, no, I mean, I thought Kayembe got summed up by the fact that he just fell over at one point on the edge of the box. That was funny.
Yes, it
a
does.
part of me died inside when I saw that. To be quite honest here, yeah, I don't mind it. I didn't mind what I saw. I mean, the first goal was really poor. I'd kind of given up hope after the first goal, but it's just really static for a team which had 4 centre halves on the pitch. I just thought, surely someone's got to get something on that.
Taking a look from this game and moving forward, I think so far loads of great comments, guys, and we'll get to those obviously at the end. But again, WFC 1881. I'm abridging people's names now on Twitter. I show no respect to them. Watford FC 1881. I love this. 1 step forward today, please. No 2 steps backwards at home to Derby. You know, we've got to carry this on, and exactly as Greg said, and it sounds like you're kind of in the same camp, which is carry on going out, having a go at the team, go and be
100%.
front-footed, and we just saw something from Barr today that we haven't really seen in terms of getting him behind his fullback and then panicking the hell out of other associated defenders.
I mean, if you look at our creative players, and I mean, excluding like the explosivity of Barr and if we look at our creative midfielders, we've got Loser who's available. Mendy can move with the ball fairly all right. Chapatati, if he plays in an 8 instead of out wide, can move the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bove, that's kind of his whole shtick, and he's meant to be just this really good all-round midfielder.
Yep.
And I did when I saw Red still got hired, I did decide to watch a Bove highlight compilation to make myself feel better. That was the level of my day. I wasn't a lecturer, and that was the level of my day. So that was kind of So I watched that, and he's got a great ping on him. He's got a great through ball between the lines. So I just think from a midfield standpoint, a creative standpoint, ignoring the front line's ability to just bomb past defenders, I think that's kind of what we should be doing, and it's what we should have been doing before, even with just Loser and Chapatazzi available. So seeing Javi sit up in a defensive structure before was kind of why I gave up on him. But seeing Ed in the second half actually go up them, even with the 4 centre halves, I don't mind going more defensively with a back line as such, as a more structurally sound back line with no aggressive fullbacks, as long as we've got the aggression in the midfield up. And I think a midfield of Mendy, either Chapatazzi or Bove and Loser could be something to behold for this league. 100%.
I'm not sure if you'll remember the Jokanovic promotion season back in 2015, but
it's a foggy one, but it is there. Yeah,
that's fair enough. 2015. Trust me, last week is foggy when you get to my age. We've all got an excuse not to remember 2015. However,
that was my first season as a season ticket holder. Just to put it into perspective.
If any one of those games will be foggy to your recollection, it will be Rotherham at home, because Rotherham were dog shit. They were awful that season. They were the perennial kicking boys, and they came to Watford, and Jokanovic set us up with 4 centre backs at the back, and he basically ball-drawed us to a 1-0 win. I was talking to Em earlier on. And I said, I think actually what happened was the entire stadium went into some kind of collective coma. We were all resuscitated and told we'd won 1-0 just to save us. It was awful, but he got a win. Today. And obviously, Ngakia apparently, kind of obviously got an issue to say he's out.
Yeah.
We didn't have the same sort of thing in that first half from our fullbacks, because we were playing a different way. We were playing a little bit more directly. We were playing it forward a bit quicker, but it wasn't sticking because a lot of people have been calling out. Despite the conversations about Kayembe, we're also talking about Chak Fatadza not really giving us something.
It was disappointing. He looked like he was taking the same amount of touch to Kayembe, the same amount of product, to be quite honest with you. It was really a dismal performance from him. It's been the same for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I would like to see him naturally more centrally, so he's got someone off him rather than him having to come inside and then struggle to have an outlet.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious to everyone but what seems to be any manager who comes into this club that he's not a winger.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Will, sir, thank you very much indeed. Give us another shout after the Derby game, and fingers crossed we keep moving forward. Let's get across to Dallas or somewhere in the US. We never know, because Vinny keeps moving around. Vinny, first of all, location alert, where are you? Secondly, what do you make of that?
Good morning. I'm in the lovely Dallas, Texas. This morning.
Good stuff.
Nothing really going on. It's Valentine's Day, so you have to be in town for that.
Oh,
with the missus,
Oh, you see, when you're as old as me, you can if, over many years you can convince your wife it's all about commerciality and it's nothing to do with that, and eventually they'll give in and go, yeah, all right, okay, I'm not getting anything. That's the lower level of expectation that I've managed to corral my wife towards. But hey, whilst it's still fresh and young, so you go for it. What did you think of Watford in the meantime?
Yeah, the game was good. I mean, everyone kind of said all the talking points basically. The real thing to I always joke that every Watford game is a must win with my group chat, but today was not, and it was a good point. Despite the 2-1 and the crazy goal, whatever. But the next 4 games are what is going to be absolutely massive, and I think we showed like a pulse, like a sign of life. Like, hey, we're still kind of there.
Yeah,
but it's all working toward the next 3 weeks, which, as people have said, it's a positive outlook for the next 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, it's fascinating that here we are. We know we've been on this awful run. In essence, whilst it feels nicer, we're still on that run. We still haven't got the win today, but next week it feels like next week could be an opportunity, which would be really, really something. Interesting question, and the dilemma about Chakfatadze, Watford FC 1881, who basically is just filling up the comments. Just very good. He says, how but I think he means, how can Georgie play in his national team shirt as he doesn't do it in a Watford shirt? Anyone? One of the things that when we played last week and the week against Hull, as well as Southampton, we played more like a 4-1-4-1. And therefore, you kind of had 2 number 8s who could potentially play in the middle. And for Georgia, he normally plays in the kind of left-handed side number 8 position, so almost like an inside left forward. He's not. I don't think he's a winger personally. But even if you play him in there, he's still got to have more output, more end product, doesn't he?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been calling for Chakfatadze to play the 8 for, I think, since he signed, because how Georgia run it, it's like you have what do they call him, Carvadana or whatever, on the left wing.
Yeah.
And so it's basically them counterattacking 1-2s and the ball to, I forget the striker's name for Georgia, but you could literally do the exact same thing with Mama, where it's just like them 2 on the left, and they kind of give the final product to maybe Kwadwo Ba running in, or Irakunda, as we've said. I mean, we're not, like, even when Kwadwo Ba's in, you're not like throwing up like a header for Kiramgard. So it's like you might as well just go with Irakunda as striker, which I forgot someone said that. But yeah, I mean, it has to be a 4-3-3, Chakfatadze on the left side, Luza on the right, and then I guess Mendy or Bove, whenever Bove can give you like 60 minutes. But
suddenly you've got a little bit more option.
He's not fast enough. If we're going to be doing this high octane, direct attacking style, he can't do it. He has to be in the middle to outlet to Mama or whoever.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the words high octane. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Would it be nice to come on here and talk about high octane football? Farhat Scalia is the Georgian sort of Maradona, if you want, without the obviously drugs and kind of crime. But other than that, yeah, he's a heck of a player. So I'll say, I can't remember. The last time you came across, I remember obviously seeing you over here, but any chance of you getting across anytime this season, or are we looking into next season? Because of obviously you've got to make sure that that tonight is all romantic and Valentine's-y, but at some point, of course, you earn enough brownie points, as we would call them, in order to get across to Watford and catch a game. When do you think your next turn will be?
If we get 7 points in the next 3 weeks, we will be monitoring the situation. Me and a couple buddies are going to Scotland for a golf trip in May, and so we will be within arm's reach of the playoffs.
This is excellent. Are these the same people who, I mean, let's face it, you brought them to the home of football, but instead of coming to Watford, they buggered off to watch Arsenal?
No, those are not the same people. One of them is, I think he's in this chat. I actually see him in the little avatars. But he went to a handful of games he went to the infamous Graham Taylor Day where Josh Sargent scored 2 goals, including the scorpion kick, like his only 2 goals ever in the Premier League.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That was a cold night. There were good fireworks, and after that, it went downhill rapidly. It wasn't good.
I remember I was watching in DC, and and my buddy was texting me. It's like, of course I go to the game, and Josh Sargent and the Americans like putting on a clinic.
Yeah, don't worry. We don't
I'm
hold
like,
we don't hold it against all of your fellow countrymen. That's absolutely fine. Well, let us know how that goes, and do have an excellent Valentine's evening. Good luck with that mission. Let's get on to Boyd. Now, it depends which half we look at, Boyd, as to whether or not we're going to have a Boyd's grumpy moment, because we like the idea of this, obviously.
Well, I agree. Well, I think we could look at both halves, Pete.
Let's do that.
The first half was just shocking beyond belief. You had to wonder, you went back thinking who's picking the team, all the things we come up with.
Yeah.
Everything that was poor about us was there to be seen. Didn't win. I don't think we won a single duel. We were weak. We were ineffectual. We were just pathetic. Second half, different team. Now, is it Ed still that changed it? If it is, wonderful. Because, eye test is the most important.
Yeah.
I thought foremost Mendy was great when he came on.
Yes, agreed.
I think the young man from City, Mafumi, is just head and shoulders above everyone in the team. He plays like he's a Bobby Moore. He's astonishing. I know I may be going a bit over the top.
No. I like that. I'll go with the reference of Bobby Moore. Some people will be currently Googling, but you and I are on the same page. You carry on, sir.
Exactly. Very calm, beautiful, with the ball, without the ball. Again, I thought the defending for both their goals was poor, to say the least.
Yes. Yep. I agree.
And I know I'm not going to be popular by saying this, but again, Matty Pollock, bravest player, one of the bravest players I've ever seen, can't pass. How many times? I think twice today, kicked the ball out for a goal kick, when under no pressure. Now, maybe I'm being unfair. I just think when you're under no pressure, you should be able to make a pass. And he doesn't. However, the entry of Barr changed everything, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely changed everything. I still think Karango's not for me.
Fair enough.
Don't like his body language, Pete. I don't know, it always seemed his shoulders always seemed slumped. Jack hasn't been the same since the injury, which is such a shame. But then, I think very positive second half. My grumpy is, I think we all know where this is going to end. It's going to end with probably Loser Mama and Bar being sold in the summer.
Well, bearing in mind the accounts are about to come out at some point between now and the end of March. So when I say about, I'm giving it a margin of error. We didn't actually sell anybody this summer, really, of major persuasion. The two we thought, and you've mentioned both of them there, would be Georgie Chakfatadze, who prior to his injury in April, everybody was thinking he's going to come in, and there were various kind of wolves sniffing around and what have you, and Loser. So if we haven't done that, we're going to have an extra layer of, there's no way we will have not added to the debt position, because there's no way we'll have made money with an ever lowering revenue kind of figures because of the parachute payments kind of ending. So somebody's going to have to end up being sold, most certainly. So no, you're not wrong. There is always that particular situation, and at the end of the day, we get these players, but we know we've only got them for a short period of time, and therefore it feels like this season has been one that has, and to a lot of people have said this more than I, but I don't disagree with what they're saying. It's been a frustration, because if ever there was a championship ready to be attacked, this was the season. And let's hope we can now do that with that second half performance.
Well, I hope so, but I just think, if we just miss the playoffs and we lose bar, loser, mama, then it all starts over again, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's always that element to it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But we'll see.
We'll see, sir.
But good second half. Thanks for letting me speak.
Always, mate. Always, mate. Are you feeling okay? You sound like you got a cold there.
Yeah, I have. I got bad throat. I'll live.
Good man, good man. Well, at least the second half gave you something to feel good about, which is good. Going to come to Harry, then I'm coming to Vaz, and then we're going to Adam Siegel, Hornet. Is that Hornet for life? And then we'll come to Caden as well. Harry, sir, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Second half, half time, I should say. There were suggestions that we were going to have a GoFundMe to get you and your family back over. Obviously, needless to say. But that felt better than anything since you've left these Isles. For anybody who doesn't know, Harry and his family came here. We win 4 straight. They go home. You're looking at what's happening. So what did you think of everything today?
So before I start, let's say Happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Thank you.
If you want a good Valentine's Day story, my football tournament this weekend was cancelled, but my brother's is still on. And so right now, my whole family have left me at home, my loving family, on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
so
well, to be quite frank, in this situation,
if Watford would have played in the first half like they did, if they played like that in the second half, I would have been well annoyed. But it's given me something to be happy about.
Not being daft, you've got the house to yourself. It's Valentine's night. This sounds like a position that you can possibly abuse the hell out of. Not that I'm encouraging that.
No, but let's hope my dad's not listening, anyways.
Yeah, it wasn't us who said it. Honest, never mind. Come on, football.
Before I start talking about the game, I've got a bit of good news and a bit of bad news.
Oh, this sounds like Bristol City's gone wayward. Carry on.
Okay. The good news is that Luton lost today.
Yes, everybody. Hang on a second. Which one is it? I think it's here we are. Are you ready, everybody? Could you just repeat that line and we'll do it as if it? Oh, this will look effortless.
We'll cut this bit out.
Yeah, go on. Take 2. Go.
Yeah. Good news is Luton lost today.
Oh, Luton lost today. What a sorrowful thing to hear about our near neighbours.
I feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we'll get over.
We'll move on to the very bad news.
Okay.
So I've been told that we don't land in the UK on the Friday that we come until 3:30.
That's a Friday.
Friday, yeah, and Bristol City's at 8 o'clock.
Friday night.
And so by the time we get out of the airport, it'll be around 5. And so even if we left Heathrow at 5, we're cutting it to 7:45. We arrive at Bristol. And so my dad said, unfortunately, negotiations fell through, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but he's abandoned you for a weekend. I mean, what? I mean, I know his dad and possibly in charge of all of these decisions. But hey, it's a risk we're all prepared for you to take, and I think that's an important thing. Oh well, never mind.
So, we'll move on to the game. So. Yep. I mean, the goals, every goal that we let in can be avoided, but those 2 especially could have been. The first goal was just lack of concentration on the cross. Everyone thinks, other person's going to get it. No one gets it. And they have, to be fair, a very good finish. And the second goal, we had 3 chances to pull the man down, and no one used it. Foremost Mendy probably had the best chance, but I don't think he felt like he had any backup until you turn your shoulder and you see a Banquet and Pollock running back. Pollock, mind you, running back very, very slowly. And it's annoying, but it's something to be positive about. Again, this game and the next 4, if any chance of playoffs, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. We need to get 10 points. We need to get 10 points out of these next 5, and an away draw to Preston, who are currently in 7th, is a good result, and I would have been happier with that before the game. And in addition to that, we played good the second half. The first half was, horrible, but we come out firing, we come out with pace, come out with intent, and
Good.
that's probably down to the substitutions done by Mr. Ed Still. And I mean, I've made all the jokes you can this week about his name, me and my dad, about the barbers, or the one that Andrew French posted, which I think was amazing, where with Gino Pozzo and Scott Duxbury talking, and it went Ed Still, and then let's get rid of him. I thought that was very, very good. But it's a good result, and bar shows why you should have been playing the last 6 months. And it's annoying, but we got 14 more games to save this season. And if that second half's anything to go by, we're going to look up. So, I mean, then we're going to move on to, foremost Mendy comes out of nowhere. That was a brilliant performance. He looked like a monster back there. Winning all those headers. It was him and Matthew Pollock can make a good partnership. And, Stefan Mfuni, 18-year-old, and we slap him out of position. He barely plays, and he plays like that. I mean, it was great. Then another positive, Mama back on the score sheet. It's been a while since we've said that.
Nice, yeah.
So, that's always very positive. And, Loser had a better performance today. I'm not going to talk about Kiembe because I think everyone's already made their points on him, and that was an atrocious performance, and you're so slow and lethargic. And hopefully Bove or Ukwa can get back up to match fitness and play ahead of him, but we'll see. And if that's anything to go by, we'll be good. And even if we don't get playoffs, if we play like that, I'll be happy.
Look at that! What a fantastic summary! I love that, Harry. I absolutely loved it. Well, give us a shout anyway, because let's face it, if you land, you're still going to have time to come out, get wherever you are, convince wherever you are, either being in a hotel or staying with friends, that no, they really should be watching the Watford game, getting that sorted, watching the Watford game, and then calling in when we inevitably ring up and go, well, why when we were 14-0 at half-time did it descend to 14-all? We will ask you all about all of that thereafter, and have a good flight after. And obviously, don't do anything whilst the cat's away. The mice will play. I'm just saying. Let's get to Adam, because let's face it, we're flying all over the Americas here at the moment, and I'm very much in favour of it. Adam, how you doing? Adam, are you there, Mr. Adam Siegel, sir? Yeah, how you doing?
Finally. Yeah, I'm here. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. It basically,
I thought you'd forgotten about me, Pete.
No. I've just we've got a board that's been filled.
Oh, I believe you.
And it's yeah, absolutely. I apologise. I take it back. Well, come on then. What do you make of that? That feels like okay. It felt. Go on, you tell me.
No, everything that's been said in the past half an hour is what I was thinking. Like everybody else, I was pretty pissed off after the first half. I thought Ed probably forgot to have his Weetabix or something. I'm not sure what.
Absolutely, it's a serial offender. But tish, everybody, come on.
But like, what was he setting us? Like, what had he told what had he said to the players before they went out there? That they came in at halftime and he said something else, and obviously put Quadro Bar on, and it's just night and day.
I think, and obviously this is me making huge assumptions. This is not me saying I know anything about this, because of course I don't. The game's been on this afternoon. But if you try and get into the mindset of that selection in the first half, which was a little bit of okay, it felt like, right, we're going away from home. Let's make it really solid at the back. Let's not be too necessarily attacking from the back. And then we'll put in the players who've been, kind of roughly there, and let's try and get Loser a little bit further forward. Let's try and get the ball to him, because these are things that he'd said in his interviews. Let's get Loser on the ball more. Nothing you can consider. But then you see how badly those people defend that first goal. You go, you must immediately go, right, we need to take the Graham Taylor approach. If they're going to score 2, we need to score at least 2. And then it's sort of okay. In which case, go with Bart. I think everybody thinks that our best form of defense is attack, and I don't mean that means we're going to be really good in defense. It just means we've got to get some goals, and we've got to threaten them and push them back. And we've played a number of teams, and Millwall is the one that flies to mind, where their shape and their system of play pushed us back into our half for the first time in a long time, and only in the second half, but that's the right order to have done it in. He seemed to have learned, and we pushed them back. And for long periods, we pushed them back. Okay, we got hit somewhat on the break, but frankly, ridiculously. We had a foot. They had 2, we had 4, and we managed to go with 3. And I appreciate people saying that's a bit unfortunate. A bit, yeah, but these are opportunities for learning from a coaching's point of view. To stay on your feet, at least one of you, for crying out loud. And they got the breakaway, but it was because we were pretty much camping in their half.
Well, and that was partly because of the aggression levels. Just went up 2-3 times what they were in the first half. And that, again, why were they not aggressive from the get-go? I just you can't really, whatever he said at halftime, whatever he did. I mean, the subs were great. I was very impressed with Mendy, like everybody else. How that ball stayed out the net, that volley he had. I saw it going across the goal. I thought it was going in.
Well, on one of our Telegram groups, and people said, "Oh, it's just made up for Bove to come and score the winner." And then, of course, up pops foremost Mendy, and you're thinking, "Oh no, the sting is in the tail. This is great." And then he was already starting to go. You could see his body shape was moving left because he thought, "Oh God, I've scored this. I'm in heaven." Very, very, very close margins. Games always are. It could have gone our way. We could have not reacted in the second half, but instead, one has to hope, and of course, because it's the first game, they will learn more from this first game, I think, than we could possibly have hoped, because they've seen both sides of Watford. They've seen the very, very bad and very, very ineffective first half. And I do mean that in every respect, and exactly what you said, playing in such a timid fashion that they're imposed upon, and then coming out in that second half. And I think you're absolutely right. I said it at the start, the aggression absolutely ramped up, controlled aggression, not just violence. And we were battling for everything. And I think we can look at that game and go, oh, that's a game that in many ways, in a couple of days, we're going to look back on and go, oh, that should have been one we won. And that after half time,
2 points dropped, honestly.
That at half time, I think everybody would have taken, wow, okay,
a draw.
We're looking forward to Derby, going, can we continue in that style? And that's got to be a positive and a positive learning experience for Ed Still and his guys. Karim is his assistant, who I mean, I presume, I don't know about Karim's ethnicity, but I'm sure, the fact that he's also a French speaker, the moment that Mama ran across, I thought, oh, he's going to run across Red Still. He didn't. He went to Karim. He went to the assistant manager. So I don't know if there's previous there, or if there is some form of cultural bond or understanding or what have you. But that's an impressive thing after 5 days to make a difference.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So yeah, well, if you followed any of the interviews that went on, either the fan one with from the Rookery End and the Buzz podcast,
I listened to them all.
Yeah. But he referenced about his assistant manager or his assistant coach. Sorry, let's get the parlance kind of right-ish. And he said he's very much the people person. He'll get about everywhere and communicate. And I looked at that when that happened and went, okay, that's interesting. Can't judge too much into it, but it was a positive thing. And Marma feels like the find of the season in the championship.
He was absolutely knackered at the end of that game, wasn't he? He could barely run. He was pulling his socks down, and I thought it was going to come off after about 75, 80 minutes, but they kept him in there.
Yeah, very good, sir. Well, we will see where we go with Derby. Thank you, Adam, as ever. Let me get to Hornet for Life. Hold on, I'm all fingers and thumbs. Sorry, Vash, we lost you. Came in. If you are listening again, hit request and I'll get you back in. But in the meantime, let's go to Hornet for Life. Hornet for Life, are you there?
Wait, can you hear me? Can
you
hear me?
I've got you loud and clear. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I've not been on before, so good to be here.
Well, welcome. Lovely to have you here. We can't call you Hornet for Life. What should we call you? I'm Pete. You're.
I'm Noah.
Noah. Welcome. God, it was an odd. What a crazy game to be the first one to ring in on, because it was so yin and yang. It was so back and forth. What did you make of this after this crazy week?
Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't go to the game. However, after looking at the data and the stats and a few of his selection choices, I've got a few thoughts that I'd like to share.
Fire away.
That's okay. So first of all, what I would like to say is I'm incredibly surprised that we went with practically 4 centre backs in the back four traditional centre halves, because when you look at Ed Still's previous managerial tenures, he likes to be narrow in a lot of his play, with all of the players down sort of either one side or all through the middle.
Yeah.
In that first half, we've obviously not dominated the game, and Preston were quite clearly the better side. So I think that when at half time when we brought on, or just after half time when we brought on Bar, I think that's really what gave us the outball, because if we've got all of these guys who are, you know, one foot apart from Mfuni and Loser, who are both left-footed, all on this right-hand side of the defence, and Pollock, they're trying to move it to the right side.
Yep.
But because they're all so narrow, it's difficult to move it. And I think we're trying to use those combinations to get it to Kurumgar. But Kurumgar isn't the sort of player who's he's not very good at trapping the ball with either his chest or his feet. So I was very surprised that we used a flat back four, because we had no one to really provide the width in the defense or in the because usually he's used I believe he was at Charleroi with Jeremy Patrice.
Yes.
And I was very surprised that we didn't start with Patrice, because he's used him as the sort of attacking outlet on the right hand side for them. And
I one of the things he'd come out and said, and and we haven't heard enough yet from him. I know we've heard a lot in a week, but more stuff will come out in relation to our games that we can then reference. My thoughts in terms of him not starting him was exactly in line with that first thing of playing the centre backs, and I think it was defence first. We're away from home. There was a story that came out from Will Still, his brother, who when he first got his first team gig, Ed was already working as an assistant manager at a bigger club, and he apparently rang him or texted him and said, what do I do? And he went, go 4 at the back, shore it up, get at least a point and a clean sheet, and then you go. And I looked at that in the first half and thought that's sort of what he's done, because we weren't using them as attacking outlets. But that change of mindset, as you said, that came on with both with Bar, and what you won't have seen from the stats is the aggression pumped up. We were competing all over the place, and it became a let's go and get it. And therefore, you know, he knew that he'd played Pollock, who had been out injured, took him off, shifted a Banquer across, who'd been playing at right back, and bought Petrie. And Petrie is doing a fine job of convincing people that he's got something to give in an attacking sense from that right back position. And nobody's having a go, I think, at Ngakia's performances this season.
No, I think Ngakia's been good.
Yeah. But you look at Patrice and think he can offer something even more potentially at times as well, so that he can actually compete with one another.
Definitely. I think we're also, because Preston had 2 centre forwards, I think that was probably also part of the thinking of, we're trying to obviously outnumber them centrally, but that also hindered us trying to get on the break of it, because, as I say, when we're looking for Kurumgar in those moments where we need an outball or one of the wingers, we don't really have that, because Kurumgar isn't in my opinion, I don't think Kurumgar has a good enough technical base to be able to supply the others, to be honest. So
when he was playing in the Danish second division, if you go back and have a look at his goals, and they're there on YouTube to be looked at, he's more of a sort of a player who gets into the right place and finishes. He's not dominant in the air. He just knows where to be. And I think he is sort of a bit where we had Dumbia last season. He's learning the play with his back to goal. He's learning what the championship means. And I don't think he's not quite got the power and I don't mean the physicality, because he's not weak, but you've got to be strong enough to hold these guys off. He hasn't got enough pace to be able to trouble going in behind.
No,
many.
he can't really press, can he? He's not mobile enough to press either from the front, really.
No, which is a difficulty. But there we go. Good, sir. Fantastic remarks. Are you going to get to the Derby game?
Yeah, I think so. I believe I'll be there.
Well, fantastic. If you can get to see it, do ring in. Let us know what you think when you've actually seen the game as well. Noah, they're fantastic first call. Thank you very much, Noah. Lovely to hear from you. Now, we've done lots of American stuff. Let's go eastward. Let's go. Now, I have a suspicion that we may be, or we may not. I will give it. I'm going to call you Vaz until you correct me otherwise. Vaz, sir, from...
pretty good.
It is.
Better than what Derek Payne is trying to do with Georgian players last time.
Everybody, the greatest entry ever to Twitter Spaces, and somebody who immediately.
Apologies.
I love Derek Payne, but he's not good at pronouncing anything. So, explain to people who are listening and viewing your position, because you're ringing in from.
I'm from Georgia, and I actually happen to be a journalist, not a sports journalist, more international politics, but I had football fan, and since Chuck is one of my generation's favorite Georgian footballer, I have not missed a Watford game. From home, I'm still watching the streams, but I've been following closely. And I've heard you talking about him, and I wanted to chime in if that's okay.
Please, absolutely. Well,
let me start apologizing. For my English, it's not my second language, or first or third.
Trust me. Your English is certainly better than any second language that I might try and play. Don't worry about that, sir. We're with you all the way.
That's gratifying to hear.
Lovely to hear from you.
There was a gentleman who was talking about the Georgian national team setup, and I thought I would provide more insight. And he was bang on what he was saying. We do used Chuck as a very deep left-sided central midfielder.
Yes,
very much in the spot that Luza is playing right now, and he was incredibly effective. That is obviously pre-injury. And interestingly enough, the moment Chuck got injured, our form as a national team absolutely crumbled. And from we had 3 wins in a row, then we had absolutely were omnishambles, I think is the word. And the setup was that.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt here. Anybody who comes on, apologizes for his English, and then uses the phrase omnishambles. Brilliant, sir. I love it. Carry on, please.
So he would drive the ball forward because we have atrocious backline. Not when it comes to coming out of the high press. That was our biggest weakness. So Chuck was like a lifesaver in this from this viewpoint, because he was drive the ball, then take the ball forward on this long run that he does. 14-meter dribbles, etc. Exactly. Then he would basically take it to Kvaratskhelia, who is an excellent dribbler on his own. Then we have the gentleman that was speaking was talking about the forward that we have, and he's a tiny guy. He's very mobile, very strong, and a low, short guy, very low core. I think that's called, and that kind of thing would work in Watford setup if you had anyone like Ba or Irankunda or even Mama on the finishing positions, but it would never work with somebody like Kirungor or even Doumbia. But on Chuck himself, I see lots of people are disappointed with him, and we are, as a Georgians, we all watching him, and we're also very disappointed. But he has been here before in this state. He's notorious with it takes a long time coming from an injury.
Yeah.
He took even longer time to get back in form when he was injured in Ghent. And
yes,
if you look at him now, there is no doubt. The impression is that he has lost a yard of pace. Right, he's slower than he was before. You should have seen him when he was at Hamburg, loaned at Hamburg from Ghent. He was like twice as slow as now. But he, walked back, worked himself into the form, and I think he will do the same here, because we've seen this before, so we're not so alarmed if he's given. But he's severely burnout. I don't know whether we've seen. I've been watching him since he was 16 in the under 18 and under 21. He's as quick as he is with the ball, etc. Seems to be very lively. He's not a stamina player. He needs his minutes managed. Probably should not be playing as much as he is playing with the way. So if I would probably not be very upset if I see him on the bench for a run of games, and then comes for the last 20-25 minutes to kind of work himself into the form. And I wanted to know whether there was a vindication for Gogličica, because he was better than in the previous match, and that's his strong side. He's very good at one-on-one duels, and Preston did not offer any intricate tactical gameplay where he would kind of get lost positionally, because that's his weakness. And that's something he's like learning on the go, because as you can imagine, in Georgia, it's all about academies. Unless you end up from the get-go, from the very young age, in the Tbilisi Academy, the Dinamo Academy, the rest are absolute, the polite way, scientific term would be shit. So he grew up in the Kutaisi Academy, which is very mediocre. So things that he has to learn at 12 or at 14, he was learning in Italy and at the age of 20.
Gotcha.
So he's doing lots of catching up, and he'll probably continue that in UK. And that's the side of his game that will only improve, because he will mature mentally, he will learn more stuff. And the physical attributes, if you don't have them, you cannot learn them. But the physical base is there, which was, I think, evident in his challenges. That timing of challenges was good. He was, committed, dedicated tackler, etc. That's the, I hope it was not too long.
That was brilliant. So I think it's brilliant. First of all, without Georgi Chakfatadze's first injury that you referenced there, he was being talked of. He was being talked of as the next Messi in some places within football. We would have never got him.
Definitely, he would have ended in Serie A, and Roma would have had offer slapped on the table. And then basically it happened what happened, and he had to. Mentally, he's very strong. I mean, he does not talk much, but his mental very strong. It takes quite a strong character mental to come back from so many injuries and still continuing going. And he'll come back stronger. Just don't play him on the right wing. He won't do any. I mean, every coach, every head coach in the Georgian national team tried to do that, because obviously when you have Kvaratskhelia on the left wing, he has to play there. So when you have Chakvetadze, you want to find a place for him as well. And the first instinct probably is let's try him. He's right-footed, so why not? Let's try him on the right side of the pitch. I mean, it just does not work. So the sooner somebody tells Mr. Steele about this, the better, I think, for everyone.
Very good. Avaz Vaja, thank you so much. We've also got another Georgian. We've got 3 Georgians currently playing at the club. One we signed. I'm sorry, his name momentarily escapes me.
Ciccovani.
Thank you, Ciccovani. Do you know much about him? Because he's been out on loan at Charleroi, the club that is connected via a buyout,
and played a precious 5 minutes.
Yes, he did indeed. Didn't play much.
Yeah, that's a strange.
He's been bought back, and we've been told he's going to play probably some under 21 football and develop him. But is he somebody we can look forward to in the longer or medium term rather than immediately? Do you think?
That's definitely not a near-term solution in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
He also has to learn a lot. But I mean, the Georgians that you've got, and that are a very strange breed of Georgians, because we are not exactly renowned for our strong work ethic.
Okay.
And Gogličica is incredibly hard worker. You'll see it himself. He never shy away from hard work. Chuck, for a flair player, is quite a hard work. And he was not like that. And he kind of, after the injuries, he kind of changed the mentality. And Chikawan is a one very hardworking kid that he's picking up things, and he's a very bright kid as well.
Okay.
Not just sport. He's high IQ, so to say. So he knows where he is. He knows that he has to work hard. He's very much willing to work hard, and he'll definitely work hard, and he'll come good.
Wonderful stuff. I think an excuse are always appalling pronunciation of everything, but no, I think today, in terms of did he make up for it? It was just such an unfortunate introduction last week, because you've got to come on. Everybody says it, and we said it here, and everybody said it was, don't make a change when you're defending a set piece. And he's coming in. It's his first seconds, literally, in a new environment. The championship
out
is
of tempo, out of game,
Yeah, exactly. So a nightmare to start with, but I think it was a thoroughly impressive response to that today, especially in the opening minute where he got a great block in, and everybody went, okay, let's see. I mean,
one thing we would very much appreciate if you guys in Britain would teach him is not only defend aerially but also contribute on the other end, because he's strong, he's tall, and we really lack in the Georgian national team tall, really good defenders, and he has to learn a lot in that regard as well. I think Britain is the best place to learn how to do that.
Well, let's hope he does. We can all benefit. We can all benefit from that. Well, look, sir, thank you so much for joining us, and do join us again whenever you want.
Will do.
Loving this. Next time we'll get into your run in the World Cup the other because it was an absolute. Your
team, the European champion.
Oh, they we just love that in when it happened. It was like literally Georgia was everybody's second team. It was fantastic. So
it has seen the scenes in Georgia. We went crazy as a nation, and trust me, we weren't normal to begin with. So it was like the crazy deluxe.
Fantastic. Vasha, thank you so much for calling in and letting us know from everything there. Well, I mean, that which was fantastic. Vasha, if anybody looks up to his Twitter account, staff writer at Radio Free Europe, and he's based in Tbilisi and Prague, and not even a sports writer specifically, because as he says, he looks in politics and all of that. What brilliant insight! Love that. And immediately. Where are we? Watford 1881 says this Georgian caller must expect a call from Gino in a couple of weeks. He probably will. He'll be on the hunt for more players. That'll do me. Let's get across to Caden, and then we'll go into the 5 words and the various bits and bobs that we get a chance to. Caden, sir, hit your mic button. Let's see if we can get you on. Caden, are you there?
Good evening, Pete. How are you?
Good evening. I'm all right, mate. Sometimes we get you on around first. This time we're getting you on last. No offence meant, but well, go on then, mate. What do you think about that?
Well, first half, basically the story of our season. Disappointment. The first half was really bad, summed up by Edo Kayembe. Second half, a lot better. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Bar changes games. What does he do today? He comes on, he changes the complexion of the game, and we go on to get a good point. We did not shut off Osmajic, and that's what cost us today. I thought foremost Mendy, when he came on, was brilliant. I have to question Pollock slightly on Osmajic's goal. Not great from him, but he is just back from injury. But foremost was fantastic today.
Why as a question, sorry, because everybody knows me and Kate, we chew the fat on this stuff every week, so I'm quite happy to say that everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I like to, with certain people who know I'm not trying to be offensive, inquire into their opinion. Why do you look at Pollock specifically there, bearing in mind Pollock was the second one of the three defenders. The first one was foremost Mendy, who went to ground and missed the tackle. Then Pollock misses the tackle, and then Abankwah comes round, covers when the ball is finally with Osmajic, sorry, and again goes to ground, and then he steps in and does it. What did you see from Pollock in that particular piece? Was it earlier in the move, or was there something specific about his tackle?
Well, just by his standards, and I know he's come back from injury, so I'm going to be a little bit more lenient on him.
Okay.
But by his standards, that tackle should be made. No trouble, see it out, get it away, get it out of danger, stop Osmajic. But it didn't. It was an overall defensive fuck up. But if Pollock got it right, if Pollock got things right, then he wouldn't have gone. He wouldn't have gone through to Abankwah.
So it's more your higher level of expectation for what he will do in a defensive position. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
As everyone knows, I probably rave about Pollock more than he deserves credit for. But I'm a massive fan of him, and it takes a lot for me to kind of acknowledge that, he fucked up. But I've looked at that goal a couple of times. If he makes that tackle, that goal does not happen. So I expect more from Pollock.
Fair enough. Carry on.
I didn't know what Ed Still was doing at times today. I didn't understand him trying to stick Loser out on the right. That was weird and confusing. And I thought Chak, again, so disappointing. He needs to be dropped. If we're serious about playoffs, against Derby, you have Bar, Irankunda, Marma and Dumbia. You don't have Chak. If we're insistent on playing Chak, has to be in the 10. He cannot play as a winger. I don't know how many times people have to say it. But I thought today was okay. I was a bit disappointed at full time with the point, but looking at it, you probably think away from home, first game for Ed Still in England, it was probably a fair result. But today I think it was quite obvious. Man of the match, Quadwo Bar. He just set everything up perfectly. And do we know who got credited for the first goal? Was it Bar or Kieran or a goalkeeper own goal?
The first one was Marma, wasn't it? The second one, I'm not sure. I haven't. I haven't looked into that because I've been busy sort of doing this sort of nonsense. So I haven't looked or checked. I can do though. In fact, let's do this for anybody who's. Let's go to the BBC. Let's see what they say. Not that they're necessarily they should be carrying kind of that. Let's go to football. Let's go to schools and fixtures. Let's try and ignore the fact that obviously Luton didn't win, but hey, we'll worry about that later. Let's have a look. What they said. They've called it a fire own goal there, so that it's not been given to Kieran Goal.
Okay. Because if it was given to Kieran Guard, that'd be 10 for the season, if I'm not mistaken. That'd be 10.
Yeah.
Which, in all fairness, isn't a bad tally. But I don't know how many times, again, I have to say
You don't have to worry about saying that every time you say something. Just say it rather than tell us you don't know how many times you got to say it. Just say it the once. That'll do.
I don't think that Kieran Go really should be starting. I don't know why he was. I don't know why he came back into the side and Dumbia was dropped. What did Dumbia do badly? He didn't do anything badly under Daniels, and I don't understand why he was dropped. I think Kieran Go was okay-ish today, but it has to be Dumbia. I think Dumbia is better all round.
Well, I think if you look at Dumbia against Southampton, I think he was quite often people say, "Oh, he's isolated." That's not normally the forward's fault. Not always, not always not. But in that instance, but I don't think he had as you know, whilst he works phenomenally hard, as does Kieran go. I think you might have looked at that and gone, well, you know, that opportunity against Southampton where he got a chance to wrap his foot around it at the near post from about 2 yards out, and it went wide. You could look at that as a moment. You could look at the fact that we didn't really sort of get a head up of steam against them. But more importantly, of course, we've had a management change. They've come in and they'll probably have looked at people in training, and he may have outperformed Doumbia in training, but this is the first time he's had a chance to have a look at what he did. And I thought, in fairness, I thought you saw a reaction from Doumbia and all the substitutes and all the squad that was spot on. He came on with what, 12 minutes to go of normal time plus 6 minutes of added on. And I thought Doumbia put himself about and did everything that you'd want to see. I thought I was impressed with that, but you'll go with Doumbia. That's fine. Let's jump to the second half then. In terms of that, let's have a look at the flip side of this. The positive element of that we've been discussing. It is only a 2-2 draw. We can be frustrated at that one that goes against us. Let's flip this around to look at the positive and look at what we need to do playing against Derby. You're in charge. You're Ed still, if you see what I mean. You select the team. Who's playing?
Selvik, Bowler, Pollock, and Fooney, a Bankwa.
You're going with a Bankwa on the right back, yeah?
Yeah, because Ngakia missed out today through injury.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to risk him starting until that's fully sorted, if there's something more on toward with it.
Okay, cool. Midfield?
In the midfield, I would go with Loser and Nampalius Mendy. I think that's nailed on.
Okay.
I would then have, as I said earlier on, Quadro Bar, Nestor Irakunda, Othman Mama, and then Mamadou Doumbia leading the line.
So you'd be playing Irankunda in the middle, so that it's not dissimilar. Yeah, go on.
I'd play Irankunda in the 10. Yeah.
All right. So you're basically kind of getting him that period, like the QPR game where and the Swansea away game where he was getting up and around. Obviously, in that case, Kieran, but in this case, Doumbia. So you play a 4-2-3-1, effectively.
Yeah, I'd play a 4-2-3-1.
Very good.
But I don't think Ed still will go with that. But if I'm the manager, that's what I'd probably do.
Hey! If I wanted to ask Ed Still a question, I would have done, and I didn't, so I haven't. So there we go. So you're here, you are Ed Still, and that's your team, and I very much like that indeed. Are you with the Hornets with the Hornet Talk podcast? Are you going to be on Monday evening?
Yes, we'll be back on Monday. But what I will say to all the listeners is please stay tuned. We've got some big things coming up and you really don't want to miss them. You're really going to like what we're doing.
Ooh,
thank you, Pete.
That was intriguing. If nobody else is curious, I certainly am. I absolutely am. So there we go. There's Caden giving us both his team and his thoughts on the game. There we go. Right, let's get through to some 5-word reviews. I think everybody. Let's get into those. And the thing that I am very, very pleased about is, as you all know, nobody should spend any time paying any attention to what nonsense I come out with most of the time, and most of you aren't. And I'm very, very pleased to see that, because the 5-word review is even less being considered a 5-word thing. I'm all for that. That's fine. Smitty said, the season in a nutshell. Cobbers says, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. More of those little kind of silent still ones. Get them in. WFC Chef says 11 successive managers. Pick Kayembe. Has he had 11 managers? Crikey. Nicholas Smith says, an encouraging second half display. I think it's going to be one of those where the glass is half full or the glass is half empty, and it's down to you individually as to what you look at. But I think there was, it's better when the expectation is low at half time and then it comes up rather than going the other way round. It'd be interesting, probably a draw where Preston will be looking at that going, we didn't play very well, but we got something out of it. So maybe everybody's happy. Who knows? Bitey Bigot befuddles brittle backline. Proper 5-word review, that one. Thank you, WFC Chef. Ryan Cripps says, do I not like that pitch this time. Okay, like that. We showed some steel there in the second half. Lots to work for on, but we'll keep the faith. Jack holds them back, says Pete Ryan. Well, we got to hear from Baz saying, well, look, he takes some time to come back. He did have that bad injury. Yeah, Messi was probably overly stating it. He was really, really highly considered when he was a couple of years before he came to us, and he had that injury. It took him a long time to get over it, and he was almost that classic Pozzo signing for us of there's something wrong, but there's a real big element of potential. He talks about being able to pick up the ball from deep and drive us and take us up the pitch 40 yards, which he did in his best periods for us as well. So he's not working at the moment. Maybe, exactly as Vaz said, maybe he needs a little bit of a rest. Well, we've now got the squad options to maybe give him that little bit of a rest. The question is whether or not people are looking at thinking him, well, maybe he might be one earmarked to move on this season, at the end of the season. So he needs to play, not because of the league position, but because of the resale value that we can maybe get. The flip side of that is, if you're not playing that brilliantly, are you affecting your positive resale value? The answer is probably not. Clearly, everything is now okay, says Pete. No, that's not Pete. Obviously, that's Brian. No, not everything is okay. As we've talked through, earlier on, especially with Boyd, the situation still stands. What we're talking about at the post-match phone-in is about the match, ironically. Harry says, Valentine's theme, defensive errors, fuck us again. Nicely done, like that. Pete, we heard from him earlier on in the show. He says, improvement, this club baffles me. And it does, because it makes absolutely no sense. I'd said at the start that I find the appointment of Ed Still inexplicable, and I still do, and I was very encouraged by this, very, very hopeful, and I wish him well. It's not his fault that we look at Moji Bayat's association to this in a very odd way. Now he's come out and started pointing out the fact that that Moji Bayat is not his agent. That yes, he did see him a lot when he was at Charleroi because his brother Mehdi Bayat ran it, but he said I saw him at a game. One game here, and then I saw him at a game at Lon, and I hadn't heard him. And then he rang up and asked me if I wanted to be Watford Football Club manager, which is what you do when you haven't seen somebody for less than 3 times in 3 years. The point is that Moji Bayat doesn't just have to be an agent on his behalf. Moji Bayat has acted in a number of deals on behalf of the club. In this instance, he would take something along the lines of, I'm sure, some kind of introduction fee. It doesn't mean that Ed Still's telling us porkies necessarily at all, but it means that he could still be getting some of that somehow. So no, the problem still stands. The problem's still there. The Moji Bayat influence, I'm not happy with. He has 3 clubs that he has a sphere of operations. Nantes, they can't stand him. Us, well, you can be the judge as to how much I like him, but you can have your own opinion on him. Does he bring you good players? Yeah, some, absolutely. But is it what we want? And the other one, of course, is Charleroi. And we've seen this little triangle occur. And I, for one, am not pleased with it. Oh, my God, we scored a goal, says Simon Parkins. Brian's back again. Sunday League pitch and tactics, he said. Was in the first half, and in the second half, I think we did simplify it a little bit more. I think this team has enough players in it that actually, if you simplify it a little bit, actually, that could be a good thing. But what we've got to do is see that aggression controlled, and see the attitude and the hunger and the desire that we saw in that second half. But we've got to see it again. If you showed that second half, to most Watford fans, you're thinking that was more akin to how we played under Graham Taylor, which was go forward, get at him constantly, not give up, fight. That was positive, not the 90 minutes. In terms of Ed Still, as I said, I've been pointing out the fact that he is coming into an environment now where he needs to get wins, and he needs to get them fast. There isn't enough time not to have wins. And I think it was inexplicable, because I've been saying he got 27 games, he'd won 2. of his last professional game. That was wrong because I hadn't taken into account the end of his Charleroi career. It was 31 games without a win, and today makes it 32. However, I think we can also look at it and say, well, let's also judge with our eyes as well. And the eye test, that second half was an improvement. Let's see how Derby goes. Let's see whether or not we can do that, or whether or not, again, we slide back down. But no, the problems are still there. As Vic says, we always waste first halves. Well, let's hope this is something different. Let's hope for hope and hope. 1 point really not enough, says Hampshire Hornet. Couldn't agree more. Not for him, not for everybody. If we're going to achieve what they said they wanted to achieve, which is to be in and around and challenging for that. But I'll take a lot of that second half and go, okay, we did or we didn't win in exactly the same way as when we went to Hull. Everybody took a lot out of that performance, even though the win, there wasn't a win there. But we can still also take a look at it and go, yeah, the situation still has issues at top table. Absolutely, it does. Second half to build on, says Willie Eckers. Like, absolutely, that's the whole point. WFC Sweden, a very good second half. Daniel Ellis says, awful. After the first half, I was extremely doom and gloom, as all hope and belief in those players had been sucked out of me. We were better with Barr, but without a striker, it's hopeless. No idea what formation we were trying to play. KMB has photos of Gino, I'm sure. What a horrific image, everybody would say, I'm sure. A good game of football, says Graham Salisbury. He says Preston should have been out of sight first half, but Barr changed the feeling of the game. You need strong men in the Championship who want to compete. Manager with a watch on both wrists raises questions. Did he have a watch? That's a level of detail, Graham, that I'm simply not capable of, and I'm glad you're here to point it out. David Sweet says, small signs of promise. Still need a striker pot. So says Mike Brennan. Chris Talfa says, Mamma Mia, scoring goals again. Good 5 words. Smudger, stick foremost, Mendy up top. Like that a lot. Sean Walsh says, Ed's still standing. Come on. Come on, everybody. Well done, Sean. Like that. And only 3 words. I like it when it's both pithy and indeed offers brevity. Tony says, leave Chax out and Barr in. Result equals Barcelona. I think that's going a little over the top. Defense sponsored by wish.com, says Thomas. Hey, Tom. Michael Sills says, Dumbia must start over L9. Sean Robbo says, Barr the Lionheart must start. Vince Smith says, Spud Bros choke on King Ed. Look at that. I'm gonna do it, everybody. That was good. That was more than good. That was excellent, in fact. Sam Burker says, who loves chaos football? I do. Oh, it's Gary. Hello, Gary. And Stuart Cashmore says, back this up versus Derby. I think we got to. That's got to surely be the call. The thing that we want most of all is to just go and do it again. Go and do it again. Go and play like that. Ideally, that would be great to see. That would be absolutely fantastic to see. Some last minute additions that have come in on everything. Let me have a look at those. Let me go to a few that I've looked at throughout the day in terms of the comments from YouTube. Daniel Ellis said the real owner of this team is Moji Bayat. He funds everything with his kickbacks to Gino and money he washes through us. No punches being pulled there, Dan, like that. Ben says, why have we seen so little of that second half version of Watford this season? Surely that is what we've all been expecting. I agree wholeheartedly. Dan Ellis back again says, Mafuni is said to be seen as a higher potential than Elaine by City. I think you can't fail to be impressed by the young man. 17 last week. He's had a birthday, and then he's had another game. Like he just seems to be able to absolutely chew up Championship football and spit it out. And we've seen older players come in and struggle with the physicality. He's 17 now, 18. Not a bother. I mean, this kid's got a ceiling a mile high, potentially. Dan's back again. He says Bove was always Loser's replacement, he feels. Loser hasn't been good for a while. He's checked out, wanted to play first-tier football in the summer and has been promised an Udinese move if we don't go up. I don't believe any of that is erroneous. In terms of, apart from the he's checked out bit, I don't think he has. I think he tries to give something every single game, personally. The reason he wanted to play, he put in a transfer request was all down to the former manager, is my understanding. He's never wanted to leave, but the rest I think is spot on, and I think Udinese would very likely be a likely destination. Watford 1881 said, I think Ed has come to terms with the fact that Barr's attacking totally outweighs his lack of defensive want. Use Barr to attack going forward and don't worry about his defending. I agree. I thought it was odd, and we talked about this, crikey, so many times, that with Grazia, and I'm still a huge fan of Grazia as a just for what he's done for us overall. But the thing that got me sort of and everybody, this is not me, was the fact that you're kind of you're choosing your attacking players based on their defensive attributes. And with somebody like Barr and with Iran Kunda, who are just irrepressible moving forward, that seems an odd dimension to have, and it limits you going forward, and it means that you're less than the sum of your parts going forward, which was in this season where we've had a problem all along. Ben also says, easy to say with hindsight, but Mo Toure, international teammate of Iran Kunda at 2.6 million, would have freshened up front our front line up a lot. He looks a lot of fun, doesn't he? And he's already produced an awful lot of stuff with those people in East Anglia. So yeah, I don't disagree. Would have been a good one. Iran Kunda is back in for Derby, I believe, says Watford FC 1881. And finally, Hornet Gag says, so K9 gets service. He can hold up and lay off and get service in the box, and he's effective. What a novel idea. Yeah, I do agree with that. There's a lot to say about the fact that he hasn't looked great, but you give him the chances, or you give him the service, and he might get something. Now, today hasn't gone down to him. It's been marked down seemingly as a fire own goal. But I thought that he did better, much better than he did when he came on against Southampton, because I didn't think he was up to much there at all. And I thought Doumbia gave the substitute performance that we should have got from Kieran Gard last week. Sorry. So let's have a look at and think about this. Ed Still's come in. It's been a bonkers week for him, I'm sure, what with one thing and another. Are we impressed with what we've seen? Yes and no. It's been a game of two halves, but there's enough there to make us think, well, maybe, just maybe, there's potentially something to look at. So there we go. Final thing we'll do, let's have a quick look at the where are we? Where do I need to go? I need to go there, don't I? The long forms, and then let you crazy kids get on with your Valentine's evenings. Turn off a few thousand things over here. I'm sorry, there's so many things going on. It's just no wonder I'm rubbish. Peter Elson says the first half we had no balance, and Abanqua was on his own on the right side. That was where Preston were having the better chances from. Second half with two proper wingers, the balance was corrected, and wow, what a difference. Absolutely. I think it also pushed them about a little bit, which is great. No difference to Daniels, says Lee J, who set up better, bar the slightly earlier subs. John Parslow gives us a look at the league table. I'm sure you'll all be able to see that. Where are we on that? No, I can't look at it. I can't even see it. It's too small for me. There you go. Watford Limerick says, it was Ed Still's first game at North End, our second half form, a good trend. And on this day about love, we saw Eduardo Bove. We attacked well, but just can't defend. I like that. Love and Bove don't work. Sam Dublin, Hornet says, Pete, Pollock was at fault for the second goal. I agree with Caden. Pollock out of position at the start of the move. Osmajic was his man and started next to him at the start of the move and was running in quicksand to get back. Thank you, Sam. Lovely stuff. There you go, Caden. He's given your reason there. And we heard from Adam earlier on. He said, love that Georgian chap who was just on. Absolutely. Golly, Chidza was great, I thought, today. He and Formos are great additions, even though the former, Mose, I like that, has been here all season. Not sure Matty will get back in with those two. Plus Mafuni. Well, look, everybody will judge the transfer window at the end of the transfer window, but obviously we really judge it in May, looking back and seeing whether or not these players can make a difference. The change may be, or the change to the manager may make that more beneficial. or it may be looked at in another way. We will see, but we'll only know at the end of the season. But we'll be here to go through each match after the match, how everybody feels about everything. Some people will look at it and go, wow, that was really good. That was really positive. Other people will go or be where Brian is and say, what, so everything's okay now? Nobody said everything's okay. It's not. There are issues. We know this. There's no change to that. And I think that's important. In terms of Ed Still, he's only got a certain amount of time to do a certain amount. This is Watford, after all. Today, not an encouraging start, but a very encouraging second step in terms of making some alterations and doing that game management piece. So many people have said he got his subs right because they all came on and they all kind of raised us in certain areas and all did things. Possibly the only one that didn't for the first 5 minutes would have been Bove, because he'd have been having to try and get up to the tempo and all around the place. And I thought that that Preston had a good moment in the first kind of 3 or 4 minutes, and then he kind of came back into the game. But long term, that could be an absolutely vital substitution. Bove coming on, giving us something additional, some more quality, more around the psychology of him coming back on the pitch and getting over that moment, because the last time he was on a pitch competitively, the man suffered a heart attack, and obviously nobody wants to go through that physically, but also psychologically would have been a huge impact on him. So welcome back and welcome to Watford, everybody there. We've got enjoyable players that performed well today and were utilised today. Fingers crossed that we do the same thing when we come again on this time next week after the Derby game, and that we start that game and that we conclude it on the front foot. Where it'll take us, we don't know. It's a season, but fingers crossed it might go in the right direction. Thank you as ever for coming and staying with us. We will see you again next time. You Warns.